Welcome to today's world, a situation that may have started in 1962 with a Supreme Court case of Engel versus Vitale. In this case, it seems the people unwittingly allowed their government to violate the First Amendment, which states, quote, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the exercise thereof," end quote. From this, it's clear. The founders' original intent was for the government to take a neutral position with respect to religion. Government was not to favor anyone's religion or prohibit anyone's religion. For instance, when Engel and others, such as Abington Township v. Shemp and Stone v. Graham, progressively outlawed both prayer and the Ten Commandments from the schools between 1962 and 1980, the Supreme Court may have misinterpreted the Constitution, as it removed just about the only source of values children were getting in the nation's schools at the time. This is not to say that the only source of values is the Ten Commandments. This action seriously invalidated the need for values in civilized society. Thus, is it any wonder there continues to be so much antisocial behavior on school campuses? Behavior many feel is choreographed by the endless parade of Hollywood values?
I'm going to tell the electrician to give it to you slow and easy, wise guy.
And why are so many children coming from broken homes these days?
Wasted 25 years of my time, and for what?
Could it be because so many children, now parents themselves, are clueless about the values that make a marriage work?
The whole public school movement came out of an anti-American movement in the beginning from Dewey and the others who propagated it. Anti-American in this sense. We say anti the values of the Founding Fathers, because the values of the Founding Fathers and the values of the biblical principles of Jews and Christians is that we should, parents are responsible for the education of their children. Parents, when they're responsible, want them to be filled with faith and values and also knowledge, which has been taken away from them. The public school movement was a socialist movement. It produced children that have become more and more enamored of the state as being their primary source of values, and it's produced a degrading of their, not only their level of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, but a degrading of their values.
One of the key reasons people flocked to the New World was to be able to practice values through the religion of their choice, or no religion at all, without government prohibition. Unfortunately, the 1980 case of Stone v. Graham symbolized the start of the demise of all values in the public school system when the Ten Commandments were banned. With this event, we, as a society, may have opened the door to a society devoid of all values, whether originating in the Judeo-Christian tradition or any other tradition. We have allowed the Supreme Court to improperly interpret the original intent of the founders when we allowed them to systematically eradicate values from society in the name of diversity and equality.
So what has happened is the Supreme Court has usurped all this power over the states and the people and been imposing its views and values on the states and on the people. But there's a weapon in the Constitution left there by the Founding Fathers, Article 3, Section 2, whereby Congress can tell the Supreme Court, stay out of this area, you have no authority here. It can restrict the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court by simple majority vote of both houses and the signature of the President. But Congress is too cowardly to confront the court, even though it has the power to do it. Not enough Americans are aware of this power, which is right in there. We do have a weapon to deal with the Supreme Court, a legal and constitutional weapon, and it is a dereliction of duty on the part of the Congress and President that they have never used it. It suggests that they are not serious in fighting the culture war.
Abetted by incessant indoctrination from the corporate media, the Hollywood-based U.S. motion picture industry, crops of PhDs, Juris Doctorates, and MDs in academia, it is now politically correct to equate values with religion, and thus treat both as diseases, their practitioners lepers. Again, the founders wanted government to be neutral on the issue of religion. They did not want a society without values or religion.
If you're talking about values relating to the United States Constitution, my experience has been that there is very little taught about the Constitution beyond what I call the mechanistic way it works. How are people elected to Congress? Here's the president, here are the courts, this is what they do. But very little emphasis seems to be laid on the basic principles of the Constitution. Why is it structured this way? What was the purpose that the Founding Fathers had in mind? On what basis did they choose this structure as opposed to other structures? They had a pretty good structure, comparatively speaking, in the English system. And that knowledge of the principles of the Constitution is really what's necessary for people to apply it.
So it seems values are extremely important. After all, if citizens can't differentiate between wise and foolish courses of action, they will fail to act appropriately on such things as energy policy, but also on even more serious issues. For instance, upon what criterion could citizens agree that it was necessary to go to war? Surely a nation full of citizens with no common values would be confused. They may be totally free, but their confusion will make them short-lived, if not barbaric. And many civilizations prior to the United States were barbaric. That's why the American experiment is so important. That's why the rudiments that made America happen must be preserved. Thus, applying and defending the values implied in the Constitution are, in essence, a matter of survival. For if these factors are dropped out, you get a cruel, chaotic, and revengeful society. Such a society will eventually occupy its time with pleasure-seeking hedonism, material acquisition, and violence-oriented pastimes. Hey, welcome to today's United States. No surprise,